Hi there, this is Love Johar. Thank you so much for tuning in this video and thank you so much for watching this channel. Here we will discuss about the first chapter of GDPR. Okay, very important. There are 11 chapters and 99 articles. We will go through all the chapters in the upcoming series as well, but this is just a starting. Okay, so here we are discussing Article 1 in this video. Okay, what do we have to do? What does the legal text says for Article 1? The name of the article is Subject Matter and Objectives. Okay, so here we will discuss what the article says, what are the important things that we have to consider, what are the question and answers that we can get in an exam or in an interview. So stay tuned and watch very carefully, and this video will be very helpful for you. So if you are new to GDPR, if you wanted to study more about GDPR, I can assure you that this video will be very helpful for you. So stay tuned and watch till the end. Okay. So why we are studying about GDPR? Okay, GDPR deals with privacy of data. Okay, privacy of personal data. Okay, so here also in the picture you can see whenever somebody is going for even ordering food, they want to understand what will the hotel do with their data. Okay, and whether the hotel has a privacy policy or not. Okay, so things like that are important because personal data is important nowadays, and GDPR entire focus is on personal data of European citizens. Okay, so who established the GDPR? The European Parliament and the Council of the European Union actually established the GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation. Okay, so why it is important? It is important because you have to protect your privacy. Okay, so in order to protect the privacy of natural persons in relation to the processing of personal data, you need some sort of regulation. That's why GDPR came into play, and this is a fundamental right of an individual. Okay, that's why it is important. So what all GDPR has? So GDPR has 11 chapters and 99 articles. Article 1 to 4 are general provisions. Article 2 is principles. Chapter 2 is principles. Article 5 to 11. Chapter 3 is rights of the data subject. Article 12 to 23. Similarly, you can see all the chapters and the articles associated with them. Okay. In this video, we are going for chapter 1. Okay. So here also in this picture, you are seeing somebody who is browsing the internet is saying that you are only supposed to collect the data that is relevant for your purpose, and the other side, whichever website you're browsing, they are saying that data collection is the reason why they are collecting the data. So what does the exact text says for Article 1, subject matter and objectives? So this is the exact text from the GDPR regulation. So it says that it has 3 key pointers. First of all, 1, 2, 3, and it says that this regulation lays down rules relating to the protection of natural persons with regard to the processing of personal data and rules relating to the free movement of personal data. Okay, this regulation protects fundamental rights and freedoms of natural persons, and in particular their right to the protection of personal data. The free movement of personal data within the Union shall be neither restricted nor prohibited for reasons connected with the protection of natural persons with regard to the processing of personal data. So now let us understand this in more detail, and we will segment all the things which are mentioned in the subject matter and objectives, Article 1. Okay. So number 1, it says that this regulation lays down rules relating to the protection of natural persons. Okay, it's only talking about people. Okay, it's not talking about any companies, organizations, any public organizations or private organizations, public bodies, private bodies, any legal entities. It is not talking about any of that. It is talking only about people, natural persons. Okay, with regard to the processing of personal data and the rules relating to the free movement of personal data. Okay, Free movement where? Free movement for countries which are only within the European Economic Zone. Okay, that you have to understand. Not free movement across the globe. Free movement only within the countries which are there within the European Economic Zone. Okay, of personal data. So here it says that it is related to, first of all, people, and secondly it is related to free movement of personal data for countries within the European Economic Zone. Okay. This regulation protects fundamental rights and freedoms of natural person, and in particular the right to the protection of personal data. We have already discussed that. It is very simple to understand. The free movement of personal data within the Union shall be neither restricted nor prohibited for reasons connected with the protection of natural persons with regard to the processing of personal data. So here GDPR aims to provide some uniform practices across the European Union so that organizations can securely share data without unnecessary restrictions. Okay. So here it has explicitly specified that this free movement is within the Union. It is not talking about external to the European Economic Zone or European Union. Okay. So here it says that all the countries which are falling within the European Union, the free movement should be there. Okay. And no country should, prohibit the free movement of personal data. It clearly lays that out. Okay. Now, some Q&A quickly. What does GDPR aim to safeguard? Okay, so GDPR basically is since right to privacy. So fundamental rights and freedoms of natural person, including the right to personal data protection. That is why GDPR is in place. Okay, and Article 1 also says the same. One of the objectives is to protect the fundamental right and freedom of natural persons, and in particular their right to the protection of personal data. Okay. Which of the following is not a subject covered by the GDPR? Any regulation of corporate data usage is not covered by GDPR. Okay. So this is what is not covered by, not a subject covered by the GDPR. Because it only talks about people's personal data. Okay. That's why. Which of the following best describes the objectives of GDPR with regard to the personal data protection? To protect the personal fundamental rights and freedom of natural persons, particularly their right to personal data protection, is the main objective of GDPR regarding to personal data protection. And in Article 1 also, if you say, it clearly says that it is there to protect the fundamental rights and freedoms of natural persons, and in particular their right to protection of their personal data. So now, here we have an example, a case study. You are data protection officer of HDN Corporation. The company wants to process personal data for a new marketing campaign. What should be considered before proceeding with this campaign under GDPR? So since we are talking about personal data, it clearly says that it will be going to process personal data. That's why you have to obtain, first of all, consent from all the individuals for whom you have collected their personal data, and especially for processing their personal data for marketing purposes. You have to inform them, you have to take their consent first before processing their personal data. Okay? You have to obtain proper consent from the individuals, and this should be in written, and this ensures that individuals are aware and have given permissions for their data to be used in such a matter. Okay? Without their consent, you won't be able to use. The primary objective of GDPR is to protect the personal data of natural person. Okay, it's already we have covered. What rights does GDPR aim to protect? Fundamental rights and freedoms of natural person, especially their right to the protection of their personal data. We have discussed personal data a lot of times. Now let me give you some examples of personal data. What is personal data? First of all, this term has been brought up a lot of times. We will also discuss in the upcoming articles also, because GDPR has also explicitly defined what do we mean by personal data. But any data that is that can identify an individual is known as personal data, either directly or indirectly. Okay. So for now, just understand your name, your telephone number, anything that can directly or indirectly identify you as an individual is your personal data. Okay. I hope this is relevant now. So Article 1 clearly says that the free movement of personal data within the Union shall not be restricted or prohibited for reasons related to the protection of natural persons in the possessing of personal data. We have already discussed that. And GDPR is enacted by the European Parliament and the Council of the European Union. This can be interview question, okay? Who actually enacted the GDPR? So I hope this video is helpful to you, and we will discuss more articles of GDPR. If you want me to discuss more articles on GDPR, please add in the comment section so that it gives me motivation to create more videos. It takes a lot of time and effort for me as well. I hope you understand. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.